Hi, Libra. So I have 2 decks this time that we're going to be working with. This one is the Midnight Magic deck. It's pretty much like a mushroom and a fungi deck. So we have the Chariot card for you, the Coniferous Cone Cap. Okay, and then on the bottom of this deck, there's the Queen of Swords, Lion's Mane. This beautiful white bird. It reminds me of a white raven. And I know in the reading that we just did, you had the black raven. So it feels like an integration or a balance of energy. And then interestingly, so we have the Hierophant on the bottom of this deck, the Sacred Web Tarot. The Hierophant is on the bottom of this. Is that card. And then on the bottom is the High Priestess. And I was just talking to Capricorn about the difference between these two. But it reminded me of this with this white, I'm not quite certain if it is like, it just looks like a skull, a bird skull sitting on the lion's mane. But it reminds me, like looking at it, looks like a white raven or just a white bird in some, in some way. But yeah, the High Priestess and the Hierophant, and just the integration of those two. So we're going to talk about that if it comes up, which it seems like it will. So then the messages that we have here are into the wild, bathroom, special needs, Appalachia, muralist, quiet zone, Kali with liberation in parentheses, excuse me, and 1992. So where do I want to start? Let's just start right here. So you have the Chariot card with Coniferous Cone. And I actually opened up the pages for this deck to the these 2 cards so that I can read them for you. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Okay, the Chariot. Okay. The Coniferous Cone Cap lives on dropped pine cones that tumble unrestrained across the forest floor, reminiscent of the movement and determination represented by the Chariot card. The Coniferous Cone Cap is resolute and determined, all right. It survives by hanging on to an unsteady and unusual food source. Interesting. It kind of reminds me of like a turtle. It's a Chariot though. Okay. You know how turtles like have the little barnacles on their back? It's it's a moving source. But barnacles are not so good for the turtle shell. But yeah, anyways, just kind of reminded me of that. Okay, then we have the Queen of Swords. Right there. The Queen of Swords, the Lion's Mane. Lion's mane mushrooms are royally positioned in the realm of medicinal fungi, known for promoting nerve regeneration and the production of healthy brain cells. This mushroom represents an independent spirit that effectively shares their ideas for the betterment of their kingdom. Yeah, like white raven energy. You know what? Where's my white raven rock? Oh, right here. I'm bring that out. Wait, okay, so for the betterment of their kingdom, effectively shares their ideas for the betterment of the kingdom. Okay. I have this little apple sitting with him. That's my white raven rock. It actually was used in a pick a card recently. I'm gonna have him right here. And also in my ritual space, he also serves as a Hierophant energy, and you have the Hierophant here. Okay, so I'm gonna sit this between both of these cards. Okay, so the Chariot is just about like movement and unrestrained. This was representing the turtle for me though. Or I was getting like that turtle vibe. But unrestrained, like it's moving, but maybe like this slow and steady energy. If you think about it, this bird, I know it's a skull, but it's kind of like at rest. It's like, yeah, it's maybe more observant right here. Observant, Queen of Swords, observant, slow moving, but moving slow. Then we have the owl here with this Hierophant, just being able to see in the dark, seeing things from above, like even in darkness, which this also, I love this card for the High Priestess. Every time I see this, it makes me chuckle because it's like, I almost see it like this. Like someone's sitting there staring at like a lotus. They're looking at this lotus and all of a sudden the High Priestess energy is like, I saw you. Like it's gotcha bitch kind of like energy, like High Priestess energy, not like in a crude like way, but like it's almost like nothing is unseen. I guess that's the best way to put it. Nothing is unseen. And if you ask the right questions, you're able to see. And that's just what that reminds me of. Like, you're looking at something, and if the right question is asked, there's that energy. It sees it. That's the High Priestess. So these two energies, I'm just going to briefly explain what I was telling Capricorn about. So this is like the, they're both the same kind of energy, just like the Empress and the Emperor energy. But this is to do with like more of your like spiritual, more of the spiritual side of things, where she takes in the energy. Like she doesn't need to speak it. She takes it in, she observes everything that she's seeing, but she doesn't need to speak it. This energy is the energy that teaches, and it teaches when it's called upon for the answers. So it's like this energy taking in all of the energy, questions, answers, whatever that is, not needing to speak it until it's called upon, and then you teach it and bring it forward. That's to me how this energy works together. Like they're both necessary. So that is for this. So like yeah, and you've had like this really a lot of like this like Gandalf kind of energy coming through, this wise like mystic energy every reading, and not a lot of readings are getting that. They're like kind of dealing with like real life, well, not that this is not real life, but you know what I mean, like they're struggling with like other things. And this has been like pretty much a lot of what your messages have been about, has been about this like leadership, but like a wise old man, like Gandalf energy. And interesting This just reminded me of Gandalf the White, and we were talking about the moment in your very first reading where he was paused while they were in the mine. And then in the second reading, you had all that fire, that kind of like fiery ocean, which reminds me, like after I finished the reading, I was thinking about, it reminds me of like when Gandalf faces the Balrog, that demon from the depths. And then this is the energy afterwards where he's reborn as Gandalf the White. It's kind of what it's making me think of now. Slow moving. And that is wise, like taking one step at a time, not impulsively like rushing into things. And that is a good leader, like when you are called upon for the answers, to be able to have them and not just like impulsively speak things. And kind of like in the Gemini reading, we were talking about knowing which mushrooms to pick so that you don't pick a bad mushroom and then harm people with the bad mushroom. Knowing the good mushrooms. And then we have Into the Wild here. Yeah, like knowing how to command or direct or lead in like a wilderness like situation, or like into the wild, literally leaning on your own wits, your own knowledge to guide, like a Gandalf. He didn't have just like books of information or his like, you know, it was like they were reliant on him understanding and knowing how to get them where they needed to go. Into the Wild is a movie, but that's what that was making me think of. But this could be like about traveling, like a literal travel. Into the Wild. I forgot what his name is. Supertramp. He actually picked a bad mushroom and that was what killed him. Yeah, okay. That's kind of cool. I love when stuff comes out like that. Okay, so then you have bathroom. I'm not quite sure what this would be about, since you have like this like wise energy here, and then all of a sudden you have bathroom. Like what I'm thinking of is like the toilet, like shitting out like just like whatever like the crappy energy is. In your last reading, you were successfully like alchemizing and getting rid of invasive energy. And you had the Nine of Swords, which kind of like was about like almost invasive thoughts. It could have been about something else in your life, but that's kind of like what it reminded me of, like an invasive mindset, invasive beliefs, invasive conditioning, and kind of like flushing that energy out, flushing it down, flushing it away. Okay, then you have special needs. And I know there's like politically correct like terms and stuff nowadays. I think if anything, they're more so confining, and make people feel like yeah, we're not going to go into that, but okay, so special needs could just be someone who needs something extra, who needs a little extra attention in certain ways. I literally just watched a clip of Forrest Gump yesterday, which kind of reminds me of like someone having special needs, like his mom knew how to talk to him in a certain way, explain things in a certain way that he understood. But it was almost like metaphorical. He was able to comprehend it, about the like life is a box of chocolates. And she was trying to explain death to him, and it made sense to him in his mind. Okay. Then we have Appalachia, which is a region within the US. It starts in Mississippi and kind of like travels up into lower New York. And it's just like a region, like kind of like the mountainous area. Somewhat for the most part. But this also reminds me of Rising Appalachia, which is one of my favorite bands. I have that in my thing, but we just have Appalachia here. So the region could be specific or important to you. Excuse me, I just ate, so I'm sorry if I'm burping up a little bit. Okay. So muralist. So muralist is like just like a painter, like someone who has like even like an art projector where you can project something onto a wall, like even like a smaller version of your artwork and put it into a projector and like even paint on like a whole side of a building, or as simple as just like a wall. But a muralist, creating murals of art, of knowledge, since we have a lot of like knowledge here, murals of knowledge, of information, of guidance. Okay. And then we have quiet zone, which is shh, like being quiet about something. I think I've seen this on the back of cars. I'm not quite sure where I got this from. But I know like you can have that for like when a baby is sleeping. Quiet zone. It actually came up in a Scorpio reading, my very first Scorpio reading. But it was about intimacy and something being too loud. It's right underneath the Hierophant. This Hierophant, which is about speaking and teaching. I'm never going to tell someone to be quiet or stop talking or like teaching, because Hierophant energy is energy that's called to speak. It's called out for the answers. Just maybe knowing which mushrooms. I'm bringing it back to the mushrooms analogy. Knowing which mushrooms you're picking and what you're bringing forward. Yeah, we're going to leave it at that for right now. Okay, then we have Kali, liberation. And Kali energy has actually come through for a couple of the signs. Just throughout the like last month. And trying to understand what I need to say about this, because there's many different directions this could go. Liberation. Maybe that might just be helpful for you to look into the Kali archetype or lean into the Kali archetype. I just say Carly. But lean into the Kali archetype. Getting into more of that like feminine, like sacred rage. Knowing how to alchemize with that potentially. I feel like rage, people, I don't want to go down a tangent, but I love the Kali archetype. I feel like it's so healthy to use in your alchemy. And just, it's like, I feel like people criticize like working with rage because it's not like spiritual or light, or I don't even know how else to describe this. But it's like almost like people punish people for like working through their rage, which is weird. And it's so important. And I actually heard something a long time ago about how actually people who listen to metal music are healthier, have healthier minds. because they're naturally processing and alchemizing that more like painful pent up energy, opposed to people who repress it and push it down. And that's what Kali energy reminds me of, like getting into those darker, deeper, repressed energies and getting them up out of your body. It's in there and it's going to stay in there until it comes out. And Kali energy is good for getting that out. And we have the bathroom thing, like shitting the crappy energy out, like just getting it up out of you. We're going to keep that at that for right now, liberating. Then 1992. So whenever I get years, like I'm assuming this is going to be important for you guys in some way. Or it's a year to look out for in some way. Like just pay attention if you see 1992 somewhere, and maybe there's like a message for you. Because like some of these numbers I literally have no connection to. Like I don't, 1992, I literally have one friend that I know of that was born in 1992. But she has a synchronicity in here. And, you know, if that was important, I feel like that would have come out. So, but 1992. 1992. Okay, I'm just going to keep moving. All right. So we got the message about knowing the right mushrooms to pick, the right knowledge to speak, how to see without having to speak it, and unless it's being called for, or however your process is. Like I said, everyone has their own, like, you know, way of this. Everyone's different. So into the wild. Yeah, he that was why he died, was he picked the bad mushroom. But this, in the Gemini reading, it was about knowledge. It was about your words. How, like, it was about dog sledding. Like, being able to be a leader. Like, letting the old, it's about evolving and letting the things mature and their natural maturing process. Like, I think that's like the best way I can put that. But like new energy coming up, and then like the energy that was taking center stage, like allowing the natural processes of life happen, the natural maturation happen. Okay. And bathroom. And sitting next to special needs with the bathroom, it just reminds me of a child being potty trained. You kind of need to like hover around them, like making sure they're kind of doing it right. You know? Which is, you know, kind of like giving extra attention. I did watch a clip earlier today with a person who had Down syndrome having wisdom, the beautiful wisdom of like happiness, of like that's naturally going to help you live your life better, finding ways to be happy. And it was, this person was almost like holding this energy. Like the guy that was grocery shopping was coming in and like always getting like this beautiful wisdom from this guy with the Down syndrome. And he actually came to the store one day and just said, I wanted to come in and talk to you. That was all I wanted to do. I don't even need to buy anything, because this person was holding this energy. Like everyone has wisdom. Like this beauty within them, this Hierophant energy. Lion's mane. That was talking about it helps with the mind, healing the mind, the neuroplasticity in the mind. This card is just so beautiful to me. With that, like, what a beautiful, they did that right. With the raven skull, with the, excuse me, with the lion's mane coming down like that. Oh, and there's a dragonfly. Just notice that. Which is in the King of Swords, is about the dragonfly. Interesting. So there's almost like this Queen of Swords and King of Swords energy. This balance, this natural balance, kind of like we have right here, this energy, this integration of wisdom and knowledge, how to speak it, how to like receive it. And that was another thing I was telling Capricorn about, is most people who kind of see themselves as like a high priestess energy has probably gone through a lot of growing pains where they've overshared, where they spoke too soon, and have gotten maybe even a label of odd, or, you know, in some way. And that's how the high priestess, I feel like it's almost like a natural rite of passage for high priestess energy, having going through those kind of like uncomfortable situations where you speak. That's what I think ultimately the high priestess learns, is how to receive the information, how to witness, how to observe, how to take in the answers without needing to speak it, until this energy, like until like however you see this energy, however it's being asked of you or needing to come forward in this way, like the integration of these two. And since we have this like knowledge energy, that's what it just reminds me of, the Queen of Swords, King of Swords right here. Yeah, like that energy is just observing, it's watching, it's not speaking though. Okay. Okay, so Appalachia. Is there anything else here about Appalachia? The region, raised in Appalachia, friendship, sisterhood. There's not a specific song coming through. Standing together. Okay, so muralist. Painting, that's all that's coming through to me. Maybe a Taurus reading got the energy of like projecting. So it could just be about projecting a vision, projecting knowledge, something that seems like maybe small, like making it bigger. Like that's really like what my mind is seeing. Like kind of think of it like as like just knowledge. You have like this little knowledge, like this little apple, but then you project it onto a huge building. Now it's not so small. Like perception. Now it's not so small. Okay, and then quiet zone. just being aware of a sleeping baby kind of energy. Like think of that maybe metaphorically. A sleeping baby, young energy. Knowing how to coddle it, how to potty train it, how to nurse it, how to respect like the natural process of like young energy. Could even think about like new, when people are coming like newly into like their spirituality, kind of just knowing how to like how to not like force them in certain directions, like allow them to like discover things, but also like almost be like a guardian, like almost like if they're picking mushrooms, like knowing how to be like, that's not a good one, or like not even say it like that, like almost like explaining like that mushroom will do this and this and this, like helping them understand why it's not bad, like not just saying that's an energy, like when I grew up and my parents just told me no, and I'm like, why? And then just like no was like the most irritating thing. Like, why? Explain to me why. And that's what I'm picking up about this mushroom energy. Why is it bad? Explain to me, why is it bad? What does it do? You know. Okay. And then Kali energy. I already was kind of explaining, like getting into the body, alchemizing, listening to like even certain like metal music. My favorite metal band is OTEP, OTEP. And if you are spiritual or like just like have like more occultic like leanings, you're gonna love OTEP. Unveiled is a good one. Crooked Spoons, just yeah, explore. Like it's my favorite band. Like the older music, I'm not really into her like newer music, sorry, but I'm not. Like the music from like the 2000s, like early 2000s going into like the 2000 like 10s, like right in there, that area, it's like the sweet spot. Okay. Then 1992. I'm just, yeah. People who were born in 1992 are going to be 34 this year. Like maybe that's significant in some way. They're 33, roughly-ish, right now. Going to be 34 this year. This could be even relating to like the year a movie came out. Like it's going to be different for everyone. Just kind of like pay attention to that year in whatever way. It just seems significant for some reason. Okay, guys, I think I'm gonna go ahead and let this be. I feel like I've really like tried to pull everything up that's coming through right now. So, all right, Libra, I wish you luck with whatever this is about, and I hope to see you next time.